Hello, my name is Pat Pigeon, and I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of Scotus Press to the virtual launch of Jack Harte's new book, Two Plays. It's the transcripts of two plays, Killing Grandad and the Mysterious History of Things. We decided to publish this book after attending the play Killing Grandad in the new theatre at the start of March this year, just before the lockdown. In fact, it was my last night out. Killing Grandad is about two opposing heroes, Balor and Lugh, tackling legends, how their story is to be told and how they want to retell their story. Or in the modern world, similar between the battle between news and fake news. At Scotus then, when we decided to go ahead with publishing the first play, Killing Grandad, we decided that the play Jack had done about 3 years ago was on a similar theme. It was called The Mysterious History of Things. It was another story about a wealthy tycoon trying to ensure his place in history is recorded like he would want it. And it's probably why wealthy men buy newspapers. Anyway, this was produced in 2016 in the Viking Theatre, Clontarf. We have our books back from the printer now, so you can see it. A beautiful photograph by Tony Gavin, a former student of Jack's, who took the picture serendipitously because we didn't realize it was the last time the play would be on, last March. So there's the book, and it's a beautiful print job by Digital Print Dynamics, and thank you, Colin Smith, for that. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our guest speakers who have come to launch the book. Two distinguished people who have worked closely with Jack Harte on the theatre productions of his plays. Anne Russell is an actor and director involved in drama in Dublin over many years. Jack Gilligan is the former arts officer for the City of Dublin and responsible for numerous art initiatives that have added so much to the arts fabric of Dublin. Then the author Jack Harte will introduce the two plays with snippets of both plays that are available to view on YouTube and now also in print. On behalf of Scotus Press and Jack Harte, I'd like to thank the Dublin Book Festival for providing this launch platform, and to say the book will be available in all good bookshops like the Connolly Bookshop in Essex Street, and also our website www.scotuspress.com. And now I'd like to hand you over to Anne Russell, and thank you for the platform.
Hi, everyone. I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to congratulate Jack on the launch of this book, which is beautifully produced by Scotus Press, with his two most recent plays, The Mysterious History of Things and Killing Grandad. I was delighted to be associated with both these plays as co-producer with Jack Gilligan. Both had very successful production, although unfortunately Killing Grandad's run and the planned tour were interrupted by the pandemic. I first met Jack some years ago at the Irish Writers' Centre when I was performing in a show there. He was really supportive of our little show, A Titter of Wit. And as I got to know him, I discovered that not only was he an author with many novels and short stories to his credit, but he also had a number of plays, as he said, in the drawer. So the first of his plays to be taken out of the drawer, and which I had the pleasure to be involved with, was Language of the Mute, which was also published by Scotus Press. The theme of this play is one that's only too familiar to us in Ireland. It is a passionate exploration of the emotional and psychological damage done to young people by a serial rapist, a teacher, who in the play is called Donny. The play was really successful and launched Jack in his new career as a dramatist. He followed this success with The Mysterious History of Things, one of the plays, as I said, in this collection. In subject matter and tone, this play is very different to Language of the Mute. However, despite the light-hearted tone, there are some parallels. Once again, Jack exposes the vanity, arrogance, the misuse of power that we're all too familiar with, not only in Ireland, but as we well know elsewhere. And once again, we have a veneer of respectability that covers the reality of a character. In this play, a wealthy and powerful man, a titan of industry, tries to control his image and his place in history. With this in mind, he dispatches his PA to visit Mr. Charlie McFurbish, who is continuing the work of his ancestors in compiling the legendary Book of Lugh, a 1,000-year record of the great and the good. The humorous interchange between the hapless PA and the man she meets at Charlie McFurbish's house explores how history is written. As Emer O'Kelly wrote in her review of the play, we do not make history, we invent it, manipulate it, imagine it, and are it. The play was very well received. Reviewers remarked on the charm, the cleverness, the humor of the writing, and the folklore-like storytelling. The second play in the collection is Killing Grandad. Once again, we have Jack's unique perspective. This time we're dealing with the legendary characters Lugh of the Long Arm and his granddad, Balor of the Evil Eye. The play is full of Jack's sly wit and comedic skill. As Katie Hayes wrote in the Irish Independent, it's a fresh and delightful comic version of the military encounter between these two characters. Beneath the humor, there is a serious message that we don't have to resort to violence to settle our differences, that we are in charge of the story, and that we can, in Balor's words, change the narrative. A message, I'm sure, for the times that we live in. It has been such a pleasure for me to get to know Jack and his work and to contribute in some small way to the success of these plays. And he hasn't stopped yet. His next play, The Laughing Boy, will have a staged reading in the New Theatre on December 10th. Once again, we'll have the opportunity to engage with Jack's insight and his wry and mischievous humor, which is so much a feature of his work. I wish him every success with all of his future creative work. I'm so pleased that the plays were taken out of the drawer and got onto the stage where they belong. Thank you.
These are indeed strange times we're living in, not least of all when one comes to launch a book without lots of cheap wine or chatter. So here I am with my cup of tea, but it's an absolute pleasure and I can forgo the wine and the chatter. It's great to be here to celebrate with Jack Harte, who's a great friend, and I think a really important writer. When I met Jack first, I had known of him before as a writer, as a novelist and a short story writer, but not a playwright. And I'm so passionate about theatre and plays that all through my life I've gone and bought scripts just to read, and I will ask almost anybody I meet if by chance they might have a play somewhere under the bed or wherever. So nobody is safe when I'm around. I could pose the question to the postman or somebody in the street almost. So knowing Jack for a while, I did pose the question at some stage and was delighted to hear that yes, he had written some plays which had never been published and nor indeed staged. So he very kindly shared some of the scripts with me, and I'm really grateful for that. And I've always been grateful for that when a writer will share work like that, which I think it's a privilege to be allowed to get in at that time and see what somebody is doing at very often on a work which they themselves regard as a work in progress. So I was really enthused by what I saw, what I read in Jack's plays, and it's been a great journey since then in getting the first play off the ground, and it was a real pleasure to work with Jack and with Anne Russell. And I think it was a really successful play and toured the country as well as having a run in Dublin. And that play, of course, was published by Scotus Press. And here we are again, his other two plays, the Killing Grandad and the Mysterious History of Things, being published by Scotus Press again. And I think that's really important, that plays like this are published and that they're available, because if they're not, there's a great risk that they will just be put away and forgotten about. And, you know, in years to come, these plays should be available in libraries, in bookshops, of course, but they should be there for almost for future generations, people who just are interested, like nerds like me who just want to read a play, or for professional or amateur theatre companies to come along and to see what's available for them. So I think that's really important, and Scotus Press must be congratulated on that. But I think Scotus Press, like the rest of us, see the merit in publishing somebody like Jack Harte, whose work just is really very special. He writes with, there's always great substance in what Jack writes. There's humor in his work, but they're never frivolous. I saw a quote from Jack where he once said, "I wouldn't bother to write if I didn't have something to say." And I think that's really so true of his plays. He has something to say. He has lots to say, and he has the ability to say them in an engaging and often entertaining way. These two particular plays are in a collection because they are companion pieces. They're very different, but they have various aspects in common. Now, not least of which both happen to be set in Sligo, which is Jack's home county, and it happens to be mine as well. But I think they do fit very well together, and I think well done again to Scotus for sort of highlighting that, I suppose, by publishing them together. So just in conclusion, I'd like to thank Jack for writing these two very fine plays, but particularly to thank him for inviting me to be part of the launch of the publication of Killing Grandad and the Mysterious History of Things. And thank you for allowing me to accompany you along the playwriting stretch of your creative writing road. I look forward to whatever theatrical treats are around the next corner, and I will be excited and honoured to accompany you in wherever that takes us all together, and will enjoy your wonderful company and treasured friendship. Congratulations, Jack, and very best wishes.
I'm delighted to be here in one of my favourite places in Dublin, outside the Connolly bookshop and the new theatre. Obviously, I would much prefer to be inside, browsing through the books and waiting for a production in the theatre, but next year. Having two plays produced in book form is a great honour, and I want to thank Scotus Press, Pat Pigeon, Colin McHugh and all the gang for doing such a beautiful job of producing this book. I love to see plays in print, and I enjoy reading plays myself. These two plays are also available on YouTube, but watching performances of individual productions is a very defined experience. However, when you are reading from the script, your imagination is able to float and imagine your own production. So it is a much more satisfying experience for the imagination. Getting plays published in book form is one thing, but of course seeing the plays on stage is the primary experience and the primary objective. I want to thank all the people who contributed to the production of these plays in the new theatre here behind me and in the Viking Theatre out in Clontarf. I am most indebted to two people who have been with me since the beginning and who have helped me to shape my plays for the stage and then help to realise them on stage in the theatres. And they are the two people who have kindly agreed to be the guest speakers at this launch, Jack Gilligan and Dan Russell. Thank you very much, Anne and Jack. As I said, these two plays are available on YouTube, and I want to show you a couple of snippets from them to give you a flavour of what they're like. I want to thank Al Craig, who recorded Killing Grandad and organised the two videos for YouTube. The first one is the opening of Killing Grandad, which was running here at the New Theatre at the time that the COVID crisis closed it down. The director was Gerard Lee, and the two actors were Michael Judd and Kevin McMahon. The play is a satire on our outworn concept of heroism. In Irish mythology, the most famous combat was between the young Lugh, who was the future sun god, and the awful ogre, the ominous hero of the Fomorian pirates, called Balor of the Evil Eye. And their famous fight took place at the Battle of Moytura. So in this snippet you can see Lugh arriving for the great combat on the battle site, and he encounters Balor for the first time, and Balor happens to be his grandfather.
Our lives on the lonesome brick-leaf.
I'm Lugh of the Long Arm, leading the army of the Tuatha De Danann against the might of the Fomorians. The battle will be fought here, old man, so get out now. You might get hurt.
Lugh?
Yes, Lugh. And I've come to challenge Balor of the Evil Eye to single combat.
Challenge who?
Balor. He before whom the whole country crouches in terror. He who can destroy an entire army with one glance of his infamous evil eye. So clear off. You might get hurt.
Overdressed for the occasion.
What did you say, old man?
All this colour, this display. Don't you think it a little inappropriate for these surroundings?
And what's wrong with these surroundings?
You.
And what's wrong with me?
You're confusing the plant life.
Oh?
They don't know which way to turn. To you or the sun.
Funny you should mention that. When I approached Tara of the Kings, the soldiers assembled there said, "Is the sun rising in the west today?" I must have made quite an impression.
You did.
Oh, so my fame has reached even this god-forsaken place.
Well, your fame has preceded you. All that blather has made for a good story, and good stories travel.
Blather?
Tell the king I am a poet.
Oh, so you've heard. I am a poet.
So is everyone who rhymes bushes with thrushes.
Well, I served my time.
No doubt. Turning the boring details of someone's boring genealogy into boring quatrains.
I wasn't bored.
Oh, Then you are a genuine poet. They invented such chores hoping the poets would die of tedium or go away, but the dull-witted poets didn't even notice.
Well, they were not bored.
Probably too drunk.
I had many other skills.
A regular jack of all trades.
A master of all arts and crafts.
Oh, tell the king I am a harper. Give me a harp and I will play them a lullaby.
And I put them all to sleep.
Well done. Well done. Wouldn't it have been a greater feat to have kept them awake?
Be careful of your mockery, old man. Don't you realize that I am also a warrior?
Oh, typical, when all else fails, threaten. Tell the king I'm a warrior.
Yes, will that caught his attention?
Why wouldn't it? With a war imminent, he needs fodder for the battles.
I am not fodder. I am the one who can put an end to this war, who can put an end to all wars.
Oh, spare me. Whenever I hear such a claim, I brace myself for a long and bloody campaign.
There will be no long campaign.
Oh, you're an optimist.
We are ready for the decisive battle. The Fomorians have landed all over North Connaught and are advancing on Moytura right here as we speak. But our forces are massed to the south and are ready to meet them. Gwynnu and his smiths will repair with 3 strokes any weapon of the 200 Danann that is broken during battle. Dean Keck and his physicians are deployed down below by the well and will restore to health any of our warriors. Ogma and our champions are ready to crunch with their clubs the bones of our enemies until the fragments are flying through the sky like hailstones. And Morrigan, our goddess of war, is ready to rain down blood and fire on the Fomorian warriors, so that their vision will be blurred and we can slaughter them all the more easily. Yes, their heads will be rolling down the slopes of the mountain. And all of this you will witness presently, unless you scamper now.
All worked out, eh? But what of their champion? What of Balor of the Evil Eye? As you have said, he can put paid to your whole army with one hostile glance.
I will put paid to Balor first, and when I have dispatched it from the Fomorians will have little stomach for battle.
What if you don't dispatch him?
Well, of course I will dispatch him. It is predicted that I kill him. It's my destiny.
Destiny?
You're trying my patience, old man, with your snide innuendo. Clear off before I challenge Balor, because you won't want to be around when we two start fighting.
Why bother fighting? If it is your destiny to kill Balor, then it will happen anyway. If it does not happen in combat, it will happen by perhaps a trivial accident, am I right?
Are you trying to confuse me?
Destiny is destiny. It can't be circumvent, right?
What will be, will be.
Then why get worked up? Why all the sweat and anxiety when the outcome is already determined?
It is my destiny to kill Balor in single combat, to blind his evil eye and chop off his head, so that his army loses heart and retreats.
What a bloodthirsty little rot.
What did you call me?
A little rot.
You must have great faith in the immunity that old age has conferred on you. I could swat you like a fly.
Back to bragging, are we?
Haven't you heard of the heroic feats that I performed for the assembly at Tara?
A trickster's performance, you have a bright future in entertainment.
The other play, The Mysterious History of Things, was produced at the Viking Theatre in Clontarf. The director was Barbara Nicueve and the 2 actors were Seamus O'Rourke and Zara Burden Yates. This play is a satire on history, which is constantly manipulated to suit the purposes of the manipulator. The 2 characters arrive at the house of the great historian MacFirbish. One is the operative of her boss, a billionaire tycoon who is trying to buy his way into history by a positive mention. The other, the male character, arrives with a theory as to how the history of St. Patrick should be rewritten to give some kind of credence to his conversion of the whole island of Ireland to Christianity.
So, who is this somebody? Why is it so important to you?
It's nothing to do with me, it's just an idea that came to me one day and it's been bothering my head ever since.
An idea. An idea is not enough to make most people scratch an ear. An idea wouldn't send most people scurrying across the country. An idea wouldn't have most people waiting for days even at the door of the great MacFurbish.
Maybe, but maybe I'm not most people. And maybe it's not just any old idea.
Oh, really?
Really?
Tell me about it.
No.
Why not? If it's a good idea, then why not talk about it?
You laugh at me.
Oh, why? It is a bit loony, is it?
No, it's not loony, but it could change history.
Ooh, sounds positively explosive. Go on. Knock me over. Tell me.
Oh, there you go, you're laughing at me already.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm serious.
You're mocking me then.
I'm not mocking you. Seriously.
Who do I remind you of?
Oh, you don't remind me of anyone. I know nothing about sport.
Oh, no, nothing to do with sport. No, oh, hold on.
Patrick. Oh, now I know. A pope.
No, but you're getting warmer. There's someone from history.
One of the popes.
None of the popes.
Oh, the bishop.
Yes,
The
warmer.
archbishop. The cardinal. Oh,
No,
what's his
no,
name?
someone from history, from history.
I was never any good at history.
No,
The business student.
from history.
Oh, I give up. I give up.
St. Patrick. St. Patrick.
Oh, of course. He was a bishop, wasn't he?
Yes, he was the first bishop.
Oh, so what does St. Patrick have to do with your visit to MacFurbish?
This.
What?
This is the key to understanding St. Patrick.
A hurling stick.
A hurler. St. Patrick was a hurler.
Yeah, maybe he was. Maybe he was a cause of alcoholics.
No, hurling explains, it explains everything. You see, it makes sense of things that don't otherwise make sense at all. I mean, for instance, why would the Irish people, why would St. Patrick come back to Ireland after he had escaped back to Britain? Tell me that.
Because he heard the call of the Irish people. They were chanting his name and begging him to bring Christianity back to Ireland.
That doesn't make sense. Why would the Irish people be begging him to bring back Christianity if they had never heard of it in the first place?
So, what's your theory?
That call of the Irish people, a huge crowd chanting a name, what does it remind you of?
Nothing.
No, look, listen. Patrick. A crowd at a match. Patrick was their sporting hero, and the only sport at the time was hurling. That's what he heard ringing in his ears when he returned to Britain.
So it had nothing at all to do with religion?
Well, it might have had a small bit to do with it. No, but did you ever ask yourself, how could one man convert an entire country to Christianity?
No.
How could he get around every parish, organising them, getting them roused up? How could he do that without ending up being skewered on a spear?
Maybe God had something to do with it.
Why would God have so much interest in Ireland back then when he has had so little ever since?
Maybe he saw it as a one-off job. You know, get Patrick in, convert the Irish, then happily forget about the place.
You know, you can say a lot of things about God, but you can never accuse him of having a sense of humour. No, there has to be another explanation for Patrick's success, and I think it was hurling.
It's a bit far-fetched.
No, it's not. No, look. What does this remind you of?
A priest saying mass, the consecration.
Dead on. Now, what does this remind you of?
Someone winning something, like the captain of a football team.
Or hurling. And did you ever wonder about the design of their cups?
Never gave it a second thought.
Replicas of chalices, that's what they are. So, religion and hurling have gone hand in hand, likely enough, since the time of St. Patrick.
But the story of St. Patrick has been well documented and there's nothing about hurling.
Yes, exactly. It was suppressed or written out. The church was in charge of the records, right? Were they going to allow St. Patrick be portrayed carrying a hurling?
Yeah, but look, they have a good story, a very good story. They've got snakes and they've got shamrocks, they have the lot.
They might have the story, but I have the explanation, and it's reasonable and logical and like...
Yes, but a rational explanation won't stand a chance against a good, outlandish story.
I want to thank all of you who have attended this virtual launch of 2 plays. It's unfortunate that we can't use the launch to catch up with one another, but hopefully that will come in the very near future. Our troubles will all be behind us next year. I want to thank especially the Dublin Book Festival for providing the opportunity to launch 2 plays in spite of everything. And I want to compliment the director of the Dublin Book Festival, Julianne Mooney, and all her team, who have heroically striven to keep the Dublin Book Festival alive this year and ensure that it will be with us for years to come. Well done to Julianne and her team, and thank you all.